The HOA president's son grabbed my wife by the throat. Because she refused to change his grade. His excuse? I need to stay on the team. Her answer? Then maybe study next time. He didn't know who he was dealing with. Jane isn't just a chemistry teacher, she's a retired military police major who's handled riots, interrogations, and worse. And that day, she taught one final lesson: never threaten the quiet ones. It started like any other Tuesday. I was in my workshop, fighting with a stubborn plank of oak when my phone buzzed on the bench. I wiped my hands and glanced down, Ravenwood High School, flashing on the screen. My wife Jane teaches chemistry there. I thought maybe she'd forgotten her lunch again. But when I answered, it wasn't her. It was the vice principal, voice shaking, like he'd just witnessed a crime. He said, "Mr. Summers, there's been an incident in Mrs. Summers' classroom." Incident. That word sits heavy. It's what schools use when they're scared of lawyers. I drove like a man possessed. 10 minutes felt like an hour, my mind replaying every nightmare scenario. A fire? A chemical spill? Never once did I imagine the truth. When I got there, Jane wasn't in her lab. She was in the nurse's office, calm, composed, cup of water in her hand. That's Jane. She's the kind of person who catches spiders in jars instead of squishing them. But this time, I noticed something else, a faint red outline around her neck. What happened? I demanded. She looked at me, voice steady as ever. A student put his hands on me. That student was Tyler Graves, Sr., football star, and son of Linda Graves, our lovely HOA president. A woman who believes her power stretches from the neighborhood to the heavens. Jane said Tyler cornered her after class. He wanted his grade changed. When she refused, he grabbed her throat and said, "No one's coming to save you." Jane stared at him and whispered, "I don't need saving." Then she performed what she called a compliance technique, a simple wrist peel. It doesn't injure, it just breaks the grip. He stumbled back in shock, and Jane calmly hit 911, gave her location, and stayed on the line until help arrived. When I reached the office, Tyler was there too, sitting next to his mother, Linda, in her designer pantsuit, voice slicing through the room like broken glass. She pointed at Jane and screamed, "That woman attacked my son. He could have been seriously hurt." Her son, 6'2", 200 pounds, claiming self-defense against a woman half his size. The school resource officer took statements. Jane spoke like she was reading a military report, precise, unemotional. The student blocked my exit. He placed his hand on my throat. I used a standard pressure release. No drama. Just facts. Then the nurse entered, voice trembling. "Mrs. Summers has clear bruising consistent with sustained pressure. The student has no injuries." The room went silent. Linda's face twisted. "Those marks could be anything," she snapped. The officer looked up. The lab camera caught everything. We flagged the footage. And just like that, Linda's empire of lies started to crack. But people like her, they don't retreat. They regroup. The next morning, the war began. A white envelope was tucked under my truck's wiper blade, violation notice, $50 fine. Reason, grass exceeds 3.5 inches in 3 areas. The next day, another one, trash cans visible after 4 hours post-collection. Fine, $75. It was petty. Calculated. 1,000 paper cuts designed to drive us insane. That evening, Linda parked across the street, sipping from her stainless mug, staring at our house with that smug little smile. Didn't even bother to hide it. Then came the Facebook post. "Dear neighbors," she wrote, "please remind your children to be respectful around faculty. Some teachers can become unpredictable." She never said Jane's name. She didn't have to. The comments exploded, rumors, whispers, pitying emojis. Every lie spreading faster than truth ever could. I wanted to scream. But Jane? She closed the laptop and said calmly, "She wants a reaction. Don't give her one." But I could see it, the quiet exhaustion in her eyes. Linda wasn't just attacking her job. She was invading our home. That's when things got darker. A black sedan started cruising by our house at night. No plates, no reason, just there. Lingering. Watching. That's when Jane set her mug down and said, "Enough. She wants to play by the rules? We'll play by all of them." When Jane switches from teacher to Major Summers, it's like watching a storm form behind still clouds. She walked into the garage, opened a binder, and started reading the HOA rulebook cover to cover. 200 pages of soul-sucking legal jargon. Every bylaw, every clause, every loophole. Meanwhile, I went to Home Depot and bought a laser-guided tape measure. If Linda wanted to measure our grass, fine. We'd give her a show. That weekend, we put on a performance. I mowed one strip. Jane followed, measuring each blade like a scientist at a NASA launch. We even logged it on a clipboard: lawn height, 3.45 inches, compliant. Neighbors peeked from windows. We didn't care. This was theater, and the HOA queen was the audience. Then Jane mailed a formal compliance report to the HOA office, certified mail, signatures required. It was petty perfection. But she wasn't done. Buried deep in those HOA documents were the very rules Linda had broken herself. Her decorative flag? Not approved. Her porch lights? Too bright. Her precious rose bushes? A prohibited species. We printed the pages, highlighted the violations, laminated them, and at dawn, I walked across the street and taped each rule directly onto her property. Right next to the roses, the lights, and the flag. All perfectly legal. All perfectly visible. By 8 a.m., she stormed out in her robe, saw the papers, and froze. Her face turned crimson. She yanked one off the fence and shouted, "You'll regret this." I smiled. Just following the rules, Linda. That same week, we installed new security cameras, 4K resolution, full street view. We even added microphones so every HOA inspection would be on record. And we started narrating our lives, for her benefit. As I left for work, I'd stare into the camera and say, "Observation log, day 12. The grass remains regulation length. Trash cans secured within 4-hour window." Jane joined in. While watering the flowers, she'd say, "The subject now hydrates non-prohibited geraniums. Compliance, total." It became our morning show, two normal people turning surveillance into satire. Word spread. Neighbors started laughing about it. Some even joined in, measuring lawns, posting their own compliance reports. Linda's control started to crumble. Her Facebook posts got fewer likes. Her little army of rule enforcers began to disappear. And then came the knockout punch. During the school hearing, the security footage played. Crystal clear, Tyler attacking Jane, Jane disengaging, and stepping back to call 911. No aggression. No shouting. Just calm, professional defense. When the video ended, the room was silent. Linda tried to object, but the board chair cut her off. "Mrs. Graves, your son's actions are indefensible." Tyler's scholarship was suspended pending review. Jane was reinstated with full honors. And me? I sat there watching Linda realize something she'd never faced before, consequences. A week later, her car was gone. Word was, she resigned as HOA president for health reasons. Her roses? Dug out. Her flag? Taken down. Our fines? Voided. That night, Jane and I sat on the porch, sipping coffee as the sun went down. No drama. No speeches. Just peace. She looked across the street and said softly, "You know what wins against people like her?" "What?" I asked. "Control. Calm is a weapon." She was right. We didn't beat Linda by shouting louder. We beat her by staying steady while she burned her own empire down. Now, every time I hear the soft hum of the mower, I remember, justice doesn't always come with sirens. Sometimes, it comes with a smile, a clipboard, and the sound of a laser tape measure clicking into place.